Hello and welcome to episode 21 of the Ecuador Insider Podcast. I am Jesse Bayer, joined as always by my business partner, Darnell Dunn. We are the co-founders and managing partners of Abundant Living Ecuador, a real estate and relocation services company based out of Loja in southern Ecuador. We're coming to you today on Saturday, June 11th, here in Loja. We've had a little funny weather lately, or you could call it Loja weather. It's been changing rapidly, lots of different climates within the same day. Today we got a whole dose of that, a little rain, a little sun, a little cold, a little warm. But we're excited to be here with you today, and we're really excited because we have who we think is a great guest, who I'll introduce in a minute, but let me run through the business before I do so. You can visit us on our website at abecuador.com. You can reach us on our toll-free line from the U.S. and Canada at 888-999-0948. If you're interested in relocation services, you can check that out at ecrelocation.com. We've got some new blog posts up, one in particular called Hitting the Expat Wall that I think is a good read for anybody either living abroad or thinking about living abroad. And let's get rolling. So we are joined today by Adam Williams. Adam is an American living in Holland. Adam was on Wall Street for 16 years as a derivatives trader and salesperson. He left Wall Street to become an entrepreneur. He left Wall Street and he helps, as he likes to say, which I like very much, he helps people get out of the matrix through entrepreneurship and service. Adam is currently involved in an avatar course for personal development, wellness products, and he's an online wellness coaching and personal training professional. Adam, thank you so much for being with us here today. We are actually recording this for the second time. I apologize for the technical glitch in the first go around, but how's it going, Adam? How are you?
It's going great. Thanks for the awesome introduction, Jesse, and good to be with you both, Darnell, as well again. Thanks.
So, Adam, I know, we talked about a lot of stuff last time. Obviously for the listeners, they haven't heard any of that, nor will they. We'll try to hit on some of those things again, but I was thinking, you are a great sort of advocate or representative of the whole voluntary movement, the non-aggression principle, anarchy, and you also have, a really interesting story as far as in your life, both professionally and personally and spiritually, all that. I wondered if for a few minutes you could run through for our listeners, your background, how you sort of came across your your philosophy that you're kind of ideologically aligned with now. Myself and Darnell fall very close to you as far as the way we look at those kinds of things. And I think it'd be great for our listeners to hear your voice as to what that's all about.
Great. Thanks a lot, Jesse. My pleasure. My childhood was very interesting. When I was 17 years old, I had 17 addresses. I think I had 8 or 9 houses before I went to college. I guess when I was 18 or 19 and in 96. And, the temporary house, or so before when the house being prepared. So, I was born in Indiana, then lived there till I was 7, 18 months in San Antonio, Texas, and 2.5 years outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, then a year in New Jersey, 2 years in California and Huntington Beach for 6th and 7th grade, 8th grade through high school in San Antonio, Texas, and Bryce University, 4 years in Houston and 9 years in Manhattan and 7 years in Connecticut. And this is now my fourth country to live in. Lived in France twice and lived in Australia, and 31st country to visit. So I've seen a lot of different things and moved a lot and been very fortunate to pick up some wisdom. Tony Robbins says, wisdom is obviously so important. Wisdom comes from experience, and experience comes from making bad decisions. So I've been fortunate to have a lot of opportunity travel and do things and create things. And through that process of creating and destroying and testing, that's really where the change has come for me in terms of the way I see the world, the way I want to conduct different parts of my life, and really try to be the change in order to create a peaceful planet. So to kind of take you through that quickly. Growing up, what was really focused in my family was the external, was achievement, education, money, and being able to provide, for your family. My parents were coming out of civil rights, where the physical opportunities were not the same. So, education was definitely always seen as the most important thing. And the education that my parents knew about was simply, state-related education. It was the university system and that process. My sister is still, in that process. She's a doctor, so she works with aligns with the AMA, and I'm personally more aligned with like homeopathic medicine and chiropractors. So to each his or her own. But what I grew up with was the standard American kind of propagandized, idealistic version of government. That government is part of the solution. Government protects rights. Government supports freedom. As a minority, government, protects you and makes sure that your rights are not.
Right. Well, I mean, anybody who goes through, 10, 15 years of government education is going to believe that, right?
That is certainly what people are going to believe. So, and then my reality was constructed around that. I mean, working in the financial area for many years, I was already a self-made millionaire from zero, over 10 years. But by the time I learned anything about what the Federal Reserve was doing and how different behind the scenes aspects of the financial system work, and how it is tied in with all the different wars and processes of coercion, around the world, and how it all kind of fits together. So for me.
So from that, just to interject real quick, so from that, you got into debt-based money and the IRS and taxes and how those are connected and
exactly, right,
okay,
100%. So that so many of those things that you just mentioned that I just took for granted as quote unquote how the system works, social contract and whatnot.
Yeah, right.
It was really around 2011, 2012, which we talked about last time, was a really very important shifting of consciousness moment for many, many people, including yourselves. That a lot of different things were happening that had previously not been unaware of. And another thing that is pretty famous quote is when people are successful, they tend to party. When people have challenges, they tend to ponder.
Right.
Yeah, so I was doing a lot of pondering in 2011 and 2012 after 10 years of 20 to 40% per year growth, in my discrete income, right? I mean, I was building recurring assets, but my income was discrete, and that was the only income that I had learned about. I hadn't really learned about the skills to build passive income and to build systems and use technology and things like that. It just I was indoctrinated into the get a job, go to a great school. I went to Rice. My sister went to Duke. It just he went to Rice University. Oh wow, he was so smart. So that whole thing. And so the reality now, as I kind of close, I guess, this passage is that there's just more and more people waking up to the fact that all these paradigms that have been sold to people through the media, through the culture, through whatever, are just wrong, and they just don't exist anymore. This idea that you can work 40 hours a week for 40 years and retire on 40% of what you're making. It's just like it doesn't exist anymore. Like inflation and currency debasement and all these other these factors, unwinding of many, many years of advantage that the United States held by exporting inflation around the world, and now that's starting to it's going to come to a halt soon. And so there's significant risk of protracted and purchasing power loss for people going forward. There's a real risk of loss of lifestyle for people in many first world countries. And so the transition, I think, to understanding it and taking advantage and like Jim Cramer always says, always a bull market somewhere. There's always somewhere where there's opportunity and where there's people reaching for more liberty and whatever. And so I think that the educational whole journey that led me to where I am now, I would just label as the spiritual path. The spiritual path would kind of be the global label of just my awakening process to more things happening within my own self, and taking that knowledge and then working out from there. I think, as I mentioned before, my life for a long time was kind of living from the outside in, and then post the spiritual path, it's been more from the inside out. So through personal development courses and considering different more philosophy and principles, that's really how I got to voluntarism, and that's how I came to people like Ron Paul, and then came to people like Larkin Rose and Mark Passio, and then also the practical people like Simon Black or Jeff Berwick, who are doing websites and doing events. So there's just all different people to learn from on the journey. But what I find is that no matter if I'm talking to Larkin Rose on the phone, or I'm speaking to Jeff Berwick in a private message, or meeting with Mark Passio in person at one of his events and talking with him for 10 minutes when I can get him away from people. And the philosophy all is the same. It matches up. It's consistent. It's morally consistent because it's based on natural law. It's based on the non-aggression principle. It's based on self-defense principle. It's based on external anarchy as our default and love state, an internal monarchy, meaning a source being. The opposite, which is government, is external monarchy and an internal anarchy, because you're indoctrinated, from someone else's ideas. So the one that we want is the path of love, natural law, which is external anarchy and internal monarchy, and then it's the reverse, is the path of fear. So again, all this stuff feels very intuitive and natural for the three of us now because we studied it, but anyone can study it. It's just a matter of which aspect of this whole umbrella of the spiritual path is an interesting gateway to move people from the only divide that matters, which is the statist divide, over to the voluntarist divide. Do you support the use of violence against peaceful people? And just making sure that answer is always no. So that would be how I lay it down.
And then if you don't support that, then obviously any action that the state takes is violence. So it becomes morally impossible to support that apparatus.
You got it. And it's a matter of I was interviewed the other day by Danilo Cuellar, who does a lot amazing peaceful anarchy podcast, and is a really sharp guy. And when the two of us were speaking, and what were we just talking about? What were we just saying about anarchy?
I was just saying that any action the state takes is violence. So once you've come to the conclusion that non-voluntary interactions are morally wrong, then it becomes impossible to support the state.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you. So peaceful non-compliance is the phrase that he's focused on, and I think it's so great. Peaceful non-compliance. Mm-hmm. That's the action that makes the most sense.
Yeah, very much agreed. Very well stated. I think that's so awesome for our listeners to hear, especially if they don't have a background in this philosophy. I encourage everyone to check out those names that you just mentioned. All people I like and follow. Less so Ron Paul per se, but he certainly has a lot of good ideas as well.
I also think that because he's so well known, it's like a good entryway to understanding the financial system.
He's the gateway drug.
Yeah, he's the most credible minarchist that's there.
Right.
So everyone can understand the minarchist. That's
Right.
a reference point. That's a reference point that everyone on the spectrum, because it's right there in the middle, that they can understand. So
and he has credibility.
Yeah,
he's got credibility, and he generally has said the same thing for 30 years, which is more than the three of us can say.
Right. Another name I'd throw out there for people if they're interested in studying the money system, which we've talked about a little bit in this show. I won't recap how that whole thing works now, but I think Mike Maloney is an excellent listen as well. If you're interested, yeah.
Totally agree. I think that he's very credible. I also like David Stockman.
Yep.
David Stockman's a bit more cerebral. His articles are quite long, and you need to understand something about what's happening to even get what he's saying. But Mike Maloney, definitely, I think he's got great videos, right?
Great videos, and he puts them out all the time, and he's very prepared in his videos. He really lays it out in a way that maybe you need a minuscule amount of financial background, but not much. Yeah,
David Stockman is a more aggressive read, so I would agree. Mike Maloney is a great person to start. Totally.
Yeah, and I find in my life, the money system is probably the best kept secret of all these things. It seems to be the hardest for people to be able to grasp, even though it's pretty simple once you understand it. It seems to be really difficult for people, even if it's explained slowly and clearly for people to understand. And I think at least partly that reason is because it is so well hidden. I mean, you go through however many years of school and you can go to college and get a master's and never, ever have been introduced in any way, shape, or form to the money system, to money creation, how money is created, what it is. And I think once you understand that, it changes everything.
It's an excellent point, and I totally agree. It's the single most obfuscated topic, in consciousness is a money system. It's just completely hidden. The fact that you ultimately 100% have a deep state operating on top of the government that is unaccountable and that is owns these central banks and is connected to all the different aspects of tyranny and oppression of people around the world. And people just don't, the cognitive dissonance around it is so strong. I mean, I have so many friends that just they don't even talk about it anymore to people because they learned about it 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and were screaming at the top of their lungs for a couple of years, and just no one cared, so so they realize that ultimately you can educate the people that want to understand, but otherwise what you can do, well, the most important thing is just to continue to develop yourself and develop your tribe and work out from there.
Exactly. I think that's really well said.
Yeah, because I mean, it getting back to the natural law stuff, it's such an individual journey. And so really we can't hurt or help in any significant way anybody. Not that I can't injure another party, of course I can, and not that I can't, give somebody a hand, but the way the cosmos works, I can't help anybody who's not asking for that help. And I can't really hurt anybody who's not already aligned to be hurt by me.
No.
So
I like that, man. No, I mean, you're right. At the end of the day, we are all, creators of our own reality, and
exactly.
Personal responsibility is that's the most important virtue that to defend. Courage, personal responsibility. But all we can do is be accelerants or hindrances to the to the unfolding of of events. And so I think that aligning with helping people is how you become an accelerant.
Yeah, but it's really through what you're talking about that you can help people. Like, you can only help people by helping yourself. Like, you can only help people by being the best you can be. And then, of course, that sort of wave goes out and other people latch onto it and are helped by you. But it's only because, you're doing what you need to do for yourself.
You got it. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, the way that I see it. Now, one interesting point to mention is, well, I think that ultimately, personal responsibility is, most important, and the biggest determinant of, your success is your own willpower, control of your attention, ethics, your principles, all these things, right? However, the one thing that I think is that causes a lot of stress for people that is a bit hidden, that contributes to the people's sense of being stuck or being distracted or unfulfilled, which I think is a lot of people, in the first world, is a bit of what we talked about in about this financial system, all the hidden costs, right, all the expenses to living, all the ways that the advances of technology from the free market have been really kind of stolen by government and have been blocked and stolen and have been rationed and have been taxed and all kind of things. Because if we look at the three of us, with our work ethic and intelligence and drive and go do it, if we're living in 1958, Darnell's and I, level of melanin notwithstanding, we'd be able to have, one job, work 40 hours a week, you get pension, right? You got investments, you got kids' college paid for, wife's at home, right? Pursuing what she wants to do. And it wasn't extravagant, but I mean, there was a middle class that's been destroyed. Right. That whole thing's been destroyed. But we're still educating people as if it still exists. So that creates a lot, that the system that you're in, you can't, obviously it's your own personal source beingness that determines your reality, but the system that you're in and understanding it and seeing it for how it is, that's a huge impact as well. Does that make
Absolutely.
sense?
It's crumbling, really. And Adam, you had opened by talking a little bit about, or I guess Jesse opened by talking about how you've gotten out of the matrix and how you've disconnected yourself from the financial system and gone into business. Can you talk a little bit about that? I think that's really will be really powerful for our listeners, because we have lots of people who are primarily from the U.S. and Canada, but other parts of the world, who are considering a relocation to Ecuador and are not at the point where they can retire and are looking for, how to get into business, how to disconnect from the system, and how to be really sovereign financially. Talk a little bit to us about that.
But hang on, Adam, just to interject real quick, and Darnell, that is a fantastic question. I'm very much looking forward to hearing your answer. But just before we change topics, was it Ron Paul that said 90% of your labor is stolen through taxes, inflation, and hidden taxes?
I don't remember that.
It might have been Ron Paul or somebody else, but that's
entirely plausible.
Yeah, I mean, that just drives home so well what you're talking about. I think that statistic is just about right. So you're living on about 10% of your labor, and that's done through the money system primarily, but secondarily through taxes and hidden taxes.
And
all these things. And so then what does that do? It gets into fear, and then once people are in fear, they're easy to control. And there you have it. So I don't necessarily need you to comment on that. I just wanted to mention it. So please get to Darnell's question. I'm very interested in your answer.
Yeah, and really just to join the parts of the segue here is that really it's the wealth extraction mechanism that's so immoral, right? It's not like having a government build a road or protect a waterway or whatever they're doing, that 5% of money that's getting to that activity, sure, that's good. But if 95% of the money that's for the taxes is going to like war and the bureaucratic salaries and all kinds of nonsense and just websites that don't work, like Simon Black was talking about how the Louisiana Purchase, like in today's dollars, was something. It's like some number of millions. It's like $300 million or something, something like in today's dollars. Right? Like how much value they got, for like that purchase. And think about like the government now spend $2 billion on a website. It doesn't work, or something just ridiculous, So so Darnell, so great question. So getting out of the matrix, I certainly will not say it's easy. I think it is simple, but it's definitely not easy because a lot of people are just simply used to the salaried mentality and the stability therein, or perceived stability therein, of hey, I've got a steady paycheck, and so I'm in control of my situation. And again, that it used to be the case, but now there's an all-out attack from every perspective on full-time jobs, whether it's Obamacare, that's cost like a few 100,000 jobs. Like, dude, all these numbers coming from government are just whack. And if you actually look into if you look into them, like there's tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs are lost in the United States like every month, or every few months, and they're replaced by bartender and waitress jobs. It's like it's just not sustainable. It's just like people. It's like the negative interest rates and the zero interest rates and all this borrowing has crowded out so much private capital, and people are now eating their own investment. It's crazy. Anyway,
a $19 trillion national debt that the only way that can't be repaid, but the only way to pay the interest on is through taxes.
It's just through inflation, and others try to make the problem less bad, and then there's fortunately the Swiss just voted against doing the helicopter money and giving everyone this basic income. And again, I've had philosophical conversations with bright people here in Holland. What do you think about basic income? And some of them think it's a good idea. And I'm like, guys, you just have to go back to the principles on some of these ideas that seem like they have a good intention. What's the principle behind it? It's like, well, everything of value has to come from somewhere. It has to be produced or, bartered for or, created. It just can't come from nowhere. And so, when you look at the coercion, you look at the manipulation, you look at all the different, the corruption, all these aspects, it doesn't paint the picture. So to get to your question, Darnell, the first thing that you have to do is just increase your understanding. You're never going to go, like, for me, moving to Holland for 9 weeks and starting on a new journey where I'm probably not going to be living in the U.S. Primarily for the next 2 years is my plan. I'm going to be in Europe and South America, perhaps. And I never would have really, moved down that path in the way that I have had I not had the understanding, had I not had the curiosity to understand more about the opportunities in emerging markets versus the U.S. Why my role as an ex-derivatives trader on Wall Street is like, really going down and down in value and in need because of XYZ things, versus being one of the first people in a different country to even understand a business model. There's all different ways to figure out a way to marry your zone of excellence, the things that you enjoy doing, okay, with the zone of value where other people will pay for it. So it's a whole process to figure out some of these aspects. Then in terms of the logistics of it, you can start out by, being in America is great, right? Because you have a visa, ability for most places where you can just go there for 3 months. and check it out. So, for me, I didn't have to get a visa to come here to Holland. So I just came here for 9 weeks. I go back to deliver Avatar course in 3 weeks from today. And then I'll be there, then I'll come back, so you can always, get away from the country and try something completely different if you want to just make a big change. Now, if you want to start smaller, you got family, you got kids, other things keeping you, in place, it's really the grueling nature of nights and weekends of just putting in between 2 and 10 hours a week of, whatever it is, whether it's earning extra income, okay, so that you have the flexibility to create a job that you prefer better than the job you have now, or it's just increasing your education, or just finding a way to get into the profession you really want to be in some tiny way, even if it's just volunteering. You know what I mean? Yep. So it's really just getting the conviction level that it's really important to do something. If you watch The Matrix, you watch V for Vendetta, you watch The Truman Show, and if you read the news and you just feel like, God, this is just there's just so much about the world that's fake, and I want my life to be real. I want to have real things. I want to have real assets. I want to have recurring income that is sticky no matter what happens. These are things that can be created, and just takes time and attention and effort.
Mm-hmm. Well, thanks for that, Adam. I know in our own experience, we've used a lot of social media to share the message about our business and what we're doing, and how other people can be involved, and how other people can really create a life in Ecuador. Can you talk about how you're using social media with the 3 business ventures you're involved in now?
Totally, yeah. So social media work in a number of ways. It can be social proof and third-party verification. So when people are looking at your website or have your card, they can go on your Facebook page or your Instagram or whatever and see other people that appear to be real, interacting with you, and that you've got pictures of yourself, not just spamming your opportunity, all over the world, but you travel and interesting ideas or whatever your philosophy is, or positivity, so works that way. Using attraction marketing techniques and doing videos or doing posts, or just working on bring with the intention to bring people to, then getting them offline, just the same way that Jesse got me on to do the podcast. He just gave me a call, or just reached out, hey. So just connecting with people offline, whether it's private message, really getting people on the phone, and you can Facebook and social media is a endless amount of potential business partners or students or whatever. Then 3 is literally using social media as like a business, and learning. This is one of the things that we're doing in the BHIP business, is teaching people free techniques to build funnels, build systems, build voluntary question and answer modules, where people who are looking for the services or products that you provide, or the education, can find you, and they can be filtered out. There's a great expression, amateurs convince and professionals sort. So that's one way. That's one thing you can do with social media. So yeah, there's really a number of different strategies that you can use. Another good strategy that I learned from one of my mentors named AJ Mirzad is to give away 90% of your value for free, and then to charge for 10%. Because if you give away a lot of value, people's like, if this guy gives away this stuff, imagine what the paid stuff is like. And the more people pay for your services, the more they pay attention. Working towards higher ticket sales and being able to create more valuable services, that's a path to helping create more income faster with less effort. And ultimately, if your heart's in the right place, you can now serve more people. So you can really use social media in a lot of great ways.
I would say for anybody out there listening who wants to dive down the social media rabbit hole, and social media, my God, it's such a powerful tool. Gary Vaynerchuk is really good. He's really good. And he talks a lot about what you just touched on, which I'm a huge believer in just giving away value. Produce it, give it away. That'll attract people to you, and then you can do, lots of other stuff. But the point is to build the following, build the network, and give value away, because this world, talk about natural law. This world is designed to reward you in exactly with what you put out, exactly as with what you put out. So if you're giving away value, if you're giving away love, if you're giving away good vibes and happiness and helping people, like, that's all going to come back to you. And, just getting back real quick to what you were saying before about, your sort of journey and your advice for people, intending to exit the matrix, so to speak. I would just add, for me, in my personal experience, don't focus at all on like the specifics. Like, oh, I don't have this money, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have this. Like, I have these kids, I had all that stuff. Like, I had all that stuff. I've been hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt at different times in my life. I've had the mortgage, the kids, the 9 to 5 with another job on top of that, and school on top of that. And I've been down all those paths. And like the only way, in my experience, that things work out the way you want them to work out, have a vision, have a plan, and then just go do it. It doesn't matter how the stuff's going to come. Like, it's going to come. Whatever you need will come, as long as you're not focused on it not being there and all these specifics that you need that you don't have. Just move forward, and the things will fall into place, assuming you're moving forward and in the right space that you need to be in.
You got it, man. I really, really love all that language. I couldn't agree more that that's the way that things are. We have all these different limitations in our minds sometimes about, I can't this, I can't that. You just have to remove I can't, from your mind, and realize that there's unlimited opportunities. Before we had our dreams funneled into these limited, perspectives. We sometimes forget how expansive and unlimited our imagination was, right, before things happen to us in life, to reduce, our feelings of power. But certainly, that's been my experience, is that I didn't know how certain things would work out. Certainly these last few years, I've been working to make some changes and really create some more liberty and some more freedom, and get unstuck from a few things that just were no longer, that used to work, that just stopped working. And so sometimes you have to just realize, hey, this doesn't work anymore, and I need to move on. And a lot of times people are stuck and unable to move on because of the beliefs, because of the philosophy, because it's a mentally being stuck. It's got nothing to do with what's possible in physical reality. So yeah, really marrying that will with the courage, and again, working on the spiritual path, getting some education there, and some exercises and some tools that you can use to raise your own consciousness. Any of those type of things that you can do to get yourself in a better state, that's going to allow for better outcomes as you're moving forward.
That's great.
Yeah, so we're going to give you, obviously, a chance to plug all your stuff. It sounds like you're involved in some really interesting things. Let's see. Do you want to give a quick... Have you traveled? I know we touched on this a little bit last time. I forget a bit. Have you traveled at all in South America?
Yeah, I have.
What are the places you've been to?
Yeah, I've only been to Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
In the mainland. I was there in 2004 or so.
People say Brazil, I just automatically ask about the women last time, but I haven't been there yet.
Brazil's a fantastic place. We went to Bahia, to Salvador. We went to this beach called Morro de Sao Paulo,
mm-hmm.
which it's like 3 hours from where the tourist area is, like on a ferry, and drive your car and on a boat. Just amazing. So beautiful. And went to Rio, and that was interesting. And I've also been to Aruba and Bonaire, just very close to Venezuela. Bonaire was especially awesome. That was about maybe 15 years ago or so for scuba diving, because you can just walk off the beach and go into the ocean. So yeah, but
and both of those countries are part of the Dutch Caribbean, right?
you got it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been meeting a lot of people here from Curaçao.
Okay.
There's a lot of Dutch Antilles people live in Rotterdam. So.
Hey Adam, are you playing around investing wise with any of the opportunities in the like currency arbitrage stuff that's available, largely as it ties to real estate? I mean, for us, it's like we look at the dollar and where it's at, or if you're from England, for example, or even if you're in euros and you're changing over to dollars, or you're changing over to more importantly, or more specifically, if you're changing over to some of the local currencies, say in Chile or Brazil or Colombia, for example, once you do the currency exchange and then you price in real estate your assets, wow. Right now, do you dabble in that at all?
Not too much. I spent so many years in front of screens,
Right.
trading financial instruments. My time is mostly spent now on building systems and building people. So
Cool.
Yeah.
Very good. Well, Adam, why don't you take 5 or 10 minutes and give our listeners an overview of some of the things that you're involved with, how they can get in touch with you, how they can hire you if they're interested in your services, and so forth.
Sure. Thank you so much, guys, and I really appreciate the chat. We had such a great conversation last time. This was, I think, even better.
Yeah, I enjoyed it as well.
So cool. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so my first initiative and passion project is called the Avatar Course, and that's a personal development program that is about 30 years old. It is a very deep dive into consciousness and belief systems and indoctrination, and just covering a really broad study of philosophy and consciousness. The author is a man named Harry Palmer, who I just have a lot of respect for, just like I do for Eckhart Tolle and Deepak Chopra and other writers that touch the soul. So while I've done all different types of personal development in order to, grow as a person and be better. And I'm a big advocate of personal development, the personal development industry, and just the people who serve others to help raise their consciousness. The people who do it right, I've spent probably over $100,000 on personal development in my life, between therapy, between going to Tony Robbins events, going to Abraham Hicks, if you've heard of them, and but the Avatar Course has been the Sangha, and the word Sangha means spiritual family, that I'm the most connected with. It's really, and I, as I told you before, I was director on Wall Street, so I've been an officer at Merrill Lynch, an officer at Jefferies, and I've been captain of the football team, and I've been on Rice football, and I've been with all different groups and all different levels of competition, and having a great mission or whatever. And the Avatar Course is the kindest group of people in the world, the kindest folks in the world. It's there's a lot of attention just for each student, for their journey, for creating an environment of love and support and compassion and empathy for each person's journey and their awakening. So in 9 days, it's a 3-section course. Section 1 is 2 days, and section 2 is 5 days, and section 3 is another 2 days at the end, and roughly. And at the end, you have a brand new voluntarist from a statist mindset. You have a brand new loving family member from someone who had struggled with their family. You have whatever. So it's a wonderful tool. It's the education that the world needs. so much right now. And so the next one is in 3 weeks in Orlando, Florida. So hopefully this episode will make it onto the internet soon. So if you're within driving distance of to Orlando, Florida, and you're interested in having an amazing 9-day vacation with some of the kindest people in the world, and being able to have a guided tour of your own consciousness, then there's nothing else I could recommend more than the Avatar course, July 2nd through 10th. My second project is called Be Hip, which stands for Believe in Helping Impact People, or Believe in High Impact Products. And Be Hip is a Danish company that is a few years old, has been exploding in Asia, and is just getting going in Europe. It's not even in South America and North America yet in terms of the business opportunity. You can get products there. And it's simply the best quality nutritional products that are available. A lot of times the best quality products are sold in the network marketing or multi-level marketing or relationship marketing or human entrepreneurship or direct selling, whatever you want to call it. This is the decentralized space of cutting out all the retail middlemen of stocking and inventories and all that stuff that's very expensive for companies, and just going direct with the story and the connection of the products to the people. So I like being involved with both products and services to give myself some interesting things to work on. And just fell in love with these products. I've just been using them for a few weeks. This is a new initiative for me. Actually, the Holland is just opening now. So if there's any Dutch networkers listening to this podcast, definitely connect with me very soon. It's an initiative I'm really excited about. I really love the company culture. I love the ethics, and I love the training. We're actually teaching people internet marketing. So this is really, really great information that you usually have to pay a lot of money for to learn, like funnels and lead capture pages and how to do survey, all this stuff, to really maximize it and get leads for being able to help people. So very excited about that. Working on this business now here in Holland, and this is actually the primary reason why I plan on coming back to living in Holland the next couple years, to just launch this wellness business in this country, and live in Europe for a while and travel a bit after 16 years in the New York City area. So really excited about Be Hip and what we're doing. You can get products and try. We've got amazing weight loss stuff. We've got energy drinks with no sugar and no chemicals. So really just awesome stuff, especially in a world where we have so much sugar, so much caffeine in some of these energy drinks, and just obesity everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So in a few weeks, we're going to have our customer website open, right? So I can say, hey, you can just buy like one box, and they can get it at home. But that's not available yet because it just opened here 2 weeks ago. So I have like a lot of stuff in my apartment because I'm the very beginning, but it's all good. And you know what? If there's an EMP attack, like I am good, man. I can live on Fusion for a while. I can survive. But anyway, this will be turned back into cash here in the next few days, and then we're building our technology to help people. And then finally is my online wellness and fitness coaching. So really just started that from my experience, being an athlete my whole life and doing CrossFit for 2 years, 16 years of yoga. I can still, I'm 38, and the other day I bench pressed 225 13 times, which is like the incoming NFL cornerbacks. They're between 15 and 21. So I was happy with that. So I'm still pretty strong.
As you should be.
Yeah, I'm still pretty strong. I did a round off backflip the other day. Ooh. So my body still works pretty well.
Show off.
So yeah. I just have learned a lot about nutrition and just how to maintain strength over time. How to get your tie in your beliefs and your activity and making sure that your wellness is important enough to you, and just learning like how to build strength from home, like the proper form and just what, any aspects of that entire process. I've been helping people online. I do everything from online workouts over Google Hangouts or over Facebook video, and I just literally go hang out. So I can just I can do more than one person at the same time. So again, with technology, there's so many different ways to serve. There's so many different ways to get out of the matrix. There's so many different ways to create your own private economy.
Yep.
So you have your own private economy that can nourish you, regardless of what's happening out there. So those are the three things I'm focused on: helping people with either their soul and their spirit, their skin and their sustenance, or their strength.
Awesome, Adam. And how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So email's great. That's rice, like the food, owl, like the bird, Adam @gmail.com. That's at Rice University. So riceowladam@gmail.com. Facebook's awesome. Love Facebook message and messenger to connect with people. So I'm Adam N. Williams on Facebook, and on WhatsApp. WhatsApp is great. My number is I'm wide open. You can text me, whatever. 1-646-265-0293 is my U.S. number.
Love hearing that U.S. area code, or that New York area code. And also just for people to know, Adam puts out these like 1-minute videos usually on Facebook pretty frequently. They're really good. I'd encourage anyone to go check it out.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm putting it together slowly. I'll have my website. I believe is going to be called connectwithadamwilliams.com.
Mm-hmm.
I've not gotten around to just purchasing it and getting that done. Hopefully this next week. So I believe the website will be connectwithadamwilliams.com. So
you better get on that before somebody steals it
and tries to sell it back to you. Well, Adam, Darnell's going to wrap up here in a minute, but
I'm gonna email next week. Hey, bro.
I got this website for sale.
That's great. Classic, yeah.
But Adam, I just want to thank you for taking the time. I totally
pleasure.
support you in everything you're doing. You're an awesome guy. You're on the right path. I love hearing everything you're about, and I feel like the message is getting out there. The world is changing. It's a beautiful place. So thank you so much for being here and for all you do.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. I can't wait to hear the show later, and I can't wait to meet you guys in South America when I get down there next.
Yeah, please come visit us when you come down.
Sounds great.
All right, thanks again.
All right, cool, awesome, fantastic. Bye-bye.
Take care, Adam. Bye, man.
Well, again, we appreciate Adam joining us on this week's podcast. Again, we are Abundant Living Ecuador, a real estate and relocation services company based in Loja, Ecuador. You can reach us toll-free from the U.S. and Canada at 888-999-0948. You can also reach us via email at info@abecuador.com. That's A as in Apple, B as in boy, Ecuador.com. And find out more about our relocation services at ecrelocation.com. Thanks again for joining us this week, and we'll see you next time.